Welcome to LawWiser's new series on innovation and disruption. To discuss this, we have a very interesting panel today. We have Zolzaya Mundur, CEO at CodeLex Legaltech. We have Aditya Mehra. He is the founder of Instadraft. June Low, she is also the founder of EasyLaw. And we have a lawyer on board, Mr. Avimukt Dar, partner at IndusLaw. So welcome on board, guys. Thank you for taking time out for this. Our audience would be very keen and interested in knowing the legal innovation in the Asia region. So if you all can just highlight and explain to our audience the legal tech, its needs and the challenges and the impact that has been faced by because of COVID.
Sure. So according to me, you can actually divide legal tech into two buckets. One is what helps lawyers in terms of their legal practice, and the other being what helps consumers get access to justice. So essentially, legal technology is any technology which either helps a lawyer or an end user or a consumer with access to justice.
To me, in simple terms, legal tech is use of technology, any type of technology, to enable legal practice and provision of legal services to be more efficient, faster, better quality, and cheaper. Yeah.
For me, what I feel like, as long as legal tech, it sounds like a big word, but it doesn't have to be like a really very complicated kind of stuff. As long as, depending on what will be the lawyers, where is their awareness of technology. So legal tech to me can be as simple as knowing how to use all the cloud services. It can be some of the lawyers that I speak to, they don't even know they can actually use Google Sheet and all sorts. So to me, legal tech can be very simple as well as it can be very complicated, depending on where is the lawyers and law firm's journey.
And I think I'll chime in with exactly the same sentiment. Legal tech has been with us as a support tool for the last 20 or even 30 years. But I think the real challenge now will be, can the robots take over the lawyer's role?
Absolutely, as Avimukt was just saying, legal tech has been around for the last 20 years or so, and I 100% agree with him. And there was a time when emails was something that was not used for practice of law, and agreements were actually faxed from one place to another and reviewed over phone calls, etc. So technology has been around for donkey's years now. It's basically the need has arisen because of a couple of factors, because computing power has reached a stage where it can actually aid a lawyer in his practice, which it wasn't earlier. And essentially the need being that if a machine can do something which is better, faster, cheaper, and a more efficient manner, and it's essentially something which is a repetitive and a mundane task, why would you want a human being doing that task? You'd rather have them add value as opposed to do mundane tasks which can be taken over by the bots. So that's where I feel the need is for. In fact, in a couple of state bars, they've actually made it unethical to not adopt technology where technology can be adopted. They think it's a disservice to the client itself.
I certainly agree. The need for legal tech is it is the result it brings to the practice or practice of law or legal industry in general. Because it really makes the goal of legal tech is to make legal practice efficient, faster, better quality, cheaper, as I mentioned. And the goal is not to make lawyers jobless or to create competition between lawyers and robots, as some would think. For instance, automation of repetitive tasks will decrease the time and money spent on providing legal services. And also, it will improve the quality of legal services by reducing human errors. And there's also improvement of access to justice by turning services to products, so-called commoditization. So These are all the benefits that we take from legal tech that brings the need to adopt legal tech.
So from my point of view of what's the needs for legal tech, so let's think about the whole chains from a customer engaging a lawyer, what's the journey looks like. So from a client point of view, clients want to have a fast and efficient kind of delivery of service. From a lawyer point of view, they want to make sure that we only have 24 hours per day, right? So we all want to make sure that we spend the time on the things that only we can do it. So, but then right now, all over the world, we always see there is some lawyers, they are not accustomed to using tech in their daily life. It's just like maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago, we are just not used to laptops. Nobody, when we hear someone, who owns a laptop, we're like, oh my God, that's awesome. All right. So that's where when we bring back the topic back to that, right? I would say that the need for legal tech is actually to make the work more efficient as a lawyer, so that if let's say I am the lawyer myself, right, I would want to focus on delivery of my service that only I can do it. For example, understanding what would be my client's problem, understanding what would be my client's goal in terms of the cases I'm working on. I think that would be the most important how I want to actually utilize my time. Whereas for the time that if let's say there is a software, whether it can be like anything related to accounting or anything related to the template or contract drafting that a machine can essentially replace us, that is where we want to like just let the software to take over. So that's my take on why we need the software.
I think it's really amazing to me that when 20 years ago we would travel to a new country, we would have a map with us. The hotel would give you a map, and you would read that map. You would ask the concierge how to go from place, and he would mark it out on with a pen for you. Now you have Google Maps, right? Now all our old maps have disappeared, and this almost seem like relics of the past. And this is even more stark than what has happened in the legal industry, because in the legal industry we still have printouts, we are still reviewing documents in hard copy, just like our predecessors used to in the 80s or 90s. But as far as maps is concerned, nobody carries a fat map unless they are really, archaic kind of people who really enjoy reading the map for the sake of the map. And I feel that this is what's going to happen to the legal industry as well. As a law firm scaled, what they did was they turned the lawyer skill from something which historically was a vocational skill to more of a factory like skill, where a very junior person could understand bite-sized information and assimilate them. So we prepared the ground that way, that we have enabled people without any significant experience to do certain tasks. And now it's not surprising at all that software companies are offering solutions to automate those tasks. So ultimately, as Aditya said, the greater degree of automation will mean that lawyers will in a way go back to the 19th century, not even the 20th. And they will be called upon to give very brief inputs, nothing voluminous, because everything which is voluminous, everything which is labor intensive will be done by automation. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that we face as law firms will be one is how do we allocate expenditure going forward? Like currently, a large chunk of what you might call capital expenditure for law firms is hiring young lawyers, right, and promoting them. So in knowledge-based industries like law, it's not a joke to say that you have human resources. We really do treat all of us, myself included, as a resource. So in that sense, how do you distribute the expenditure on technology, and how do you distribute the expenditure on people, especially the younger people? And the second challenge we face is on the pricing models. So currently, most law firms across the world go on an hourly model. Even if they give you a fixed fee quote, they would have calculated the hours as an estimate, because they bill out in units of time. And that's how we've been comfortable for a very long time. The challenge with automation is that a lot of things will not require time at all. So, the computer can do in 6 seconds. So how do you, timesheet that? So in that sense, you will have to price yourself differently. And that would be a bit of a challenge because, and also an opportunity for that matter, because a lot of pricing works on a kind of knowledge arbitrage between customer and the service provider. So you would have a strange period when the pricing models would vary between law firms, and then maybe in 10 years you will have a consensus that this kind of activity requires this amount of cost. Of course, here I'm not yet going into litigation because litigation, the big revolution that is awaited is legal technology in litigation. So by that I mean, for instance, what is being experimented in Australia, where immigration appeals are now being heard by software. So once that starts to happen, the last bastion of the legal industry, which is going to court, appearing, arguing, where a lot of time gets spent, that could also be shaken up. And you could find with robo judges, they decide cases in less than the time it takes to blink an eye.
I think one of the biggest challenges that I hear from my clients is where do we start? And how do we start? Because I think there is so much technology and you'll have people, and very honestly, lawyers and law firms aren't used to vendor selection for that matter, because this is something that they've not been doing all along. In terms of vendor selection, the maximum they do is laptops and Microsoft Word. So it's the problem comes, where do we start? And what is it that we have to adopt in terms of technologies to ensure that it doesn't become a vital effort? And most importantly, it comes to the point where you need to understand what is it, the problem that you're trying to solve. Are you trying to save time? Are you trying to increase compliance? Because accordingly, then you can, because there's no straitjacket formula. People have so consultants and vendors have a problem. They throw words like artificial intelligence, blockchain at you, which are not very relevant in the near future. Yes, they will be relevant 5 years from now, but it's actually low-hanging fruit. What needs to be understood is where you need to analyze, where is the time being spent, and how you can make the processes more efficient and operations more efficient. Coming back to the point of legal education also is a little problem, because right now what is taught in colleges and universities is something which was there 20 years ago. As in terms of, very honestly, in my college, I never even learned how to draft a contract. So access to legal technology and explaining to a student how you can best optimize legal technology and you leverage technology for that matter is something which is not taught even in law schools for that matter. So because of these challenges, the issue is that we have not started adopting technology which will make the processes more efficient and be able to give you packaged legal services for that matter, which Avimukt was hinting at briefly, that eventually 10 years down the line, there will be some sort of packaging or commoditization of legal services, which is going to be a new market which will open up, because in effect, that will also increase access to justice, because people who would ideally not approach a law firm because of cost issues will be able to approach a law firm because some amount of the services will be commoditized.
So let me answer this question based on our legal tech startup experience. So we've been trying to promote 2 different products in 2 different markets: practice management software for Mongolian market and lawyer-to-lawyer document marketplace LexUp to Southeast Asia market. The 2 markets have different level of legal tech adoption. For Mongolia, we are actually the first legal tech company, and we introduced the first practice management software. Legal tech products existed before our practice management software is mostly online legislation or court decision database. So legal tech is very new in Mongolia. On the other hand, Southeast Asian lawyers in general have better familiarity with legal tech. However, I think there's common side to lawyers in both of these jurisdictions or markets. That is, lawyers are slow to take action when it comes to legal tech adoption. When we market our products, the overall perception of the concept is surprisingly positive, and they seem to be impressed by the idea. However, it's another story when it comes to taking action and really start adopting legal tech products in their practice, because I think they are very used to the way they work, and changing their working habit takes some time. So legal tech promotion and marketing requires consistent efforts towards spreading awareness of the product to lawyers.
Okay, so basically, standing from business point of view, so this is what I see happening for some of the lawyers. Of course, we always have two types of lawyers. One type of lawyer, they are very happy that this technology exists, and then they are very willing, just like what Zolo said, like they're very willing to take actions, which is very good. But then on the other side, there were people who, oh yeah, this is a great product. Yeah, do you want to adopt this? They'll be like, probably no, maybe next 6 months, next 12 months, and every excuses will come in place. But then let's think about from their point of view. If let's say we run a law firm, there will always be two sides of a business: revenue generating activities versus cost generating activities, right? That is a revenue center and cost center. So let's think about what is the cost center. So to them, a lot of lawyers, they see that adopting technology is part of the cost center. Means that they spend money right now, but then they don't get a very instant return at the start. They are actually expecting an instant gratification. However, when we are actually adopting a legal tech or any technology in any way of our life, we need to look at for a very long run, meaning that the cost saving that you are looking right now, or the efficiency you are looking right now, it won't happen right now after you adopt. It won't happen 1 month after you adopt. You may need to take about maybe 3 months to 6 months times in order to see the returns of your investment, right? So what happened with the first month of adopting and the third month of adopting? They only see two stuff. I need to spend money and I need to spend time. And two of these things that I need to spend is so painful for me. So to me, I find like it's a mindset issue where you are looking at it as a short term or a long term. So of course, for law firm that have cash flow to run, or then they have extra resources, adopting a technology makes sense to them in the long run. But then not all law firms, they are from a business standpoint. Not all, they are being trained legally and professionally, but then maybe in terms of education, if let's say they are being trained more all-rounded in terms of maybe business point of view, they may be able to see the benefits that they're able to get. So this is the number one. So which brings us the challenges to the number two. That is the pain of change. So the pain of change that must be countered with something like, right now it's very painful for me to change. So what's the benefit? So if let's say government can actually, or the bar council, the state bar can actually give the law firm some grant or some incentive to have them to adopt the legal tech, I think that can actually move things forward even better. And then in order to counter all these challenges, I think one point is very important is starting from the education. Just like what Aditya said, I couldn't agree more, because I remember I think 20 years ago when I was really young, I didn't know, I don't know the existence of laptop anyway. So what our teachers send us to, we have this lesson called computer lesson, So the computer lesson forced us to really type, like, give us an article and really type it, change the font type. I remember there's even a Disney font type. So what if we can input technology as part of the core curriculum for the lawyers to enroll before they actually graduate to become a lawyer? I think this will change the whole new perspective in terms of the mindset, in terms of awareness, and in terms of they are more open up to it. So this is actually what I have in mind.
I 100% agree with June. Just to add to that, not only is it you have to actually invest money, but you actually need to invest time, because technology is only about 70% of the requirement. 30% is you have to dedicate time and a team for the implementation purposes of the technology as well. Take, for example, one of my typical automation projects. To start, and you definitely can't say end the project, because it's a dynamic and constantly evolving sort of project. But to reach a phase where you can determine the benefits, it takes about a year's time. And that a lot of law firms and a lot of lawyers are unwilling to invest that sort of time in something which is going to give them benefits in the next 10 years time. So it's a little short-sightedness, but yeah, that's definitely a factor when it comes to cost benefit analysis.
So we're all seeing this boom of discussion of legal industry transformation and COVID-19's impact on it over the past few months. I've actually read that according to LinkedIn, the legal industry is #1 in online discussion about industry change, which is very impressive. And discussion of legal industry transformation was actually going for quite some time now, but adoption of legal tech and in the real industry-wide transformation was not so visible in real life. I think COVID-19 can be the trigger for wider adoption of legal tech and more flexible working, because it can be said that law firms are surviving COVID-19 thanks to technologies such as video conferencing software, and even there's a rise of online court hearings in some countries. So despite all the tragedy, I think COVID-19 gave the industry a chance to see the different and more flexible way to work using technology. And law firms and in-house departments are starting to realize that they can be more profitable and ahead of their competitors by adopting technology efficiently. I can't say that after Corona, legal industry will be completely different than the before Corona world, but one thing for sure, there will be at least some positive impact on adoption of legal tech.
I think the change is very, very positive. So actually, in terms of a legal tech, there's always few types, right? One is, I would say, need-based technology. The other type we would say, like, you know, to them is more like luxurious kind of technology. So for need-based, I presume before COVID-19, very few people actually know about Zoom, like in my country, of course. So it is not part of their world where they'll be using Zoom to actually meet clients. And then because of this happens, they kind of experience the benefits and efficiency when things go online. So that's why this actually helped to open up the mindset a little bit, because this has become a need-based. And of course, moving forward, we are going to see a lot more people are going to start using the practice management software. Just like what we have is also we carry a practice management software. We can see the search in terms of looking for it, and then whether they want to actually see the demo. The only one part that people will be still thinking is that they are still comparing software versus I hire one extra person. They will be always comparing and say, hey, you know what, this software is going to take me this certain amount, but you know what, right now, if let's say I hire extra person, a junior to help me to do that, they can actually produce the same result. I have one extra manpower. So this is the thing that they always be comparing. So my verdict is always like that. If let's say you want your law firm to stay long-term, you need to rely more to the system rather than to the person. Person can leave, but the system will be staying forever. So this is always what I tell them. But then I'm happy to see the positive change in my country.
The approach has changed towards technology. I'll say yes, people are looking at technology, seeing the benefits of technology. But then again, there's a difference between the must-have and the good-to-have. So yes, Zoom, everyone sees the benefits of Zoom. Mobile workforces, everyone sees the benefits of having cloud computing for that matter. But there's also this pause on external spends. As June was saying, cost centers and resource centers. All of these are cost centers, and right now they're looking a lot at business continuity as opposed to spending on external adoption of new technology. So the must-have technology, of course, which is required to go virtual, yes, that's coming up. They're seeing the benefits of technology, yes, but in the near future, at least, I don't see too much adoption of niche technology or high-end technology for the matter, because they've paused legal stands because of the economic factors around the pandemic.
Big factor, like of course, one is that because the economy is in a very bad shape, generally revenues for all law firms and legal service industry has gone down. But the benefit of this could be long term, which is that, the sheer amount of traveling that lawyers had to do. Like, for example, India is a very large country. So there was expectation that you go to Bombay, you go to Bangalore, you go to Delhi. All this flying around is a huge waste of time. As I mentioned, that lawyers still bill in terms of hours spent. And even like I'm in Delhi right now, even going to Gurgaon or Noida is a significant amount of time wasted, right? If you're traveling up and down. So if we are able to make semi-permanent at least this concept of video conferencing, cut down on domestic and international travel, that will allow people to reallocate budgets towards IT and to improve the quality and efficiency. There is a perception that you are more efficient in face-to-face meetings. And what Zoom is doing is trying to slow down that perception. And again, for India specifically, because of a demographic, because India, the majority of people in India are below the age of 30. If this thing catches on, then the concept of meetings will change forever, because there are not that many of us 30 plus people to effect change.
So for me, to as a conclusion, I think this is a testing time for everybody to actually start to taste the how delicious it is when technology is in place in your firm. So thanks to COVID for then, I mean, in terms of bringing the awareness to that. So I would say that when we actually have in place this in part of the educations, more and more people are going to adopt it. But at the same time, we also hope that this COVID-19 can be finished as soon as possible so that everybody in the whole world can just back to the normal work practice, but with a little bit enhancement of technology, of course.
Absolutely. So, having practiced law and having been a corporate lawyer for the last 10 years, I know that you go from transaction to transaction and don't really get time to introspect and think about your own operations and your own processes. So, in fact, with the deal inertia getting slightly lower than before, this is a good time for, in fact, every law firm to introspect, understand where are our workflows, where can we optimize our workflows. If you have available resources, human resources, as Avimukt put it, which are available and not working on transactions, use them for standardization of contracts and everything. So this is actually a good opportunity to optimize your workflows and optimize your processes. So should be taken as that only, as a good opportunity for that matter.
In conclusion, I would like to say to all the lawyers who are watching this discussion that just be a little bit more open-minded to legal tech adoption. So we didn't imagine how we can attend court hearings online before the times of COVID-19. So this time we have seen it. We have seen that we can work more flexible or agile using technology. So as June also said, this adoption of legal technology and really actually feeling its benefit kind of takes some time and effort. So I would like to say to all the lawyers that just be a little bit more curious and a little bit more willing to actually get the benefits of legal tech.
Yeah, just my general optimism that adoption of legal tech will be of great benefit to our clients. It'll also be great benefit to the access to justice for litigants. India has one of the lowest number of judges per 1,000 people in the world, and this would be a great benefit if the country actually gets access to justice, and the intermediary is technology and not human beings.